Today we are getting started with an introduction to Kickstarter. For those of you who are out there and have been wondering how you're going to fund your children's book, this question comes up over and over for me and the authors that I work with. So after finding out that there were 6 or 7 of them all out there looking to create Kickstarter campaigns, I decided to put a little Kickstarter group together, and that's how this group was formed. Well, 6 turned into almost 60 now. We have people have joined the Facebook group. It is a free session. We're just here to support one another. And so I'm going to go through what's going to be an introduction to the at least, I would say, 6 weeks, probably more. And it is an introduction to Kickstarter. What we're going to cover today is a little bit about the group, talk about who this group is for, a little bit about the logistics. I'll introduce myself and other leaders who are here to help support you and your efforts. And then we'll just open it up to Q&A. First and foremost, what is the group and what is it not? So let me just start by saying it is not paid expertise around Kickstarter or hand-holding from experts in crowdfunding. I can tell you that I have run a successful campaign along with others of the leaders here. We know what we need to do based on our own experiences, but we are not Kickstarter crowdfunding experts by any means. So just realize that. I do have additional Kickstarter crowdfunding expertise that you can reach out to. When you go to the Facebook group, there is a resources guide with additional help from experts that you may also want to reach out to. It is not one-sided. It is not for you to take and pull information for yourself and not provide it in return. This is a supportive community. And so I just want to say it is meant for us to support one another. And it is not a done for you type thing. When we go over these topics, we're going to share. It is not something that we will be doing for you. However, we may do some hands-on stuff so that we can get together on a topic where people are struggling and we can all work on our own pieces together. What it is 6 weeks of learning around the topic of Kickstarter for crowdfunding. It's a collaborative community. We are going to try to hold each other accountable to continue to progress as we move over this 6-week or so period. We are here to support you if I or others on my team do not know answers to your questions. We will do our best to find the answers for you and support you on this journey. And a lot of what you're going to hear is specific to our own individual experiences and experiences from others who will come in and who will talk to you about their best practices, what worked well for them. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work well for you, but I think you're going to get a lot of fantastic information over the course of this 6 weeks. So who is the group for? It is for authors who are planning on launching a Kickstarter campaign in Q1 of 2022. We really put it together to try to support those who are launching in February, March of this year, because we know it does take time to get through all of those things. I do see that we had some people join who were just ready to launch their Kickstarter campaigns. So if you see people posting campaigns that they have launched, I highly recommend that you go on and try to back other campaigns, get an idea of how that works so that you too can see and follow along on their progress. It's going to help you greatly. It is also a group for those who want to learn more about crowdfunding, just generally to see if it could eventually be a good fit for them. So we don't exclude people who are just here to learn. We want that from you. We also ask you to help by supporting campaigns or sharing campaigns of others as you are also learning for yourself. Anybody who is an individual who wants to support children's book authors to assist with their crowdfunding efforts, So some of the leaders here that are with me, and also some that have had previous success as crowdfunding their own campaigns, will be here to support and share and have joined the group as well. So that is who you will find. This group was geared for. I'm just going to quickly go over a little logistics. So far we're saying 6 weeks. It might grow, as you see when I get to another slide that talks about the topics. I think the topics may be growing, so it may turn into something that is available longer. We're going to have these live meetings on Mondays from 7 to 8:30. That's on Zoom every Monday, starting January 24th today, all the way through February 28th. And there is a Facebook group. If you've not joined it already, it is Kickstarter Made Simple. And in parentheses, it says children's books. And here's the link if you want to. I will go ahead and post that as a chat as well for anybody who needs it. So you can directly go and join the group if you have not already. Now with the weekly topics, an introduction today. Next week, I have Valerie McTavish, who is from Show Up and Be Seen. She does video, she teaches about video, successful videos, how to portray yourself on video. So since a video is one of the most important things that people will watch on your Kickstarter, I thought it would be really helpful for her to come and visit us and to talk and give some advice on videos. So next week, January 31st, she will be here. And then the following week, February 7th, Oriana Leckhart will be here from 7 to 8. She is from Kickstarter. She is the children's, she's responsible, and all of the children's books that we launch fall under her at Kickstarter. So this is the person that is going to be clicking on the Projects We Love badge for you. She is an amazing speaker, has been here to talk with my other during a previous Kickstarter subgroup, and she is a wealth of information. So she's going to be here to talk with us on February 7th, talk about tips and mistakes to avoid. She's going to be awesome to review. During these couple of weeks, or a few weeks, I should say, from where these first few are happening, I would say go ahead and start creating your shell of your campaign. We'll be posting different things within the Facebook group to support you and to help answer questions along the way. When we get into week 4, we're talking about reward tiers and budgeting, how to make sure that you are able to account for your budget, and to talk through reward tiers as well. And we also have Sarah Catherine Frey, who is also on my team. You'll introduce her in just a minute, but she is going to be talking about graphic design tips. And she also has an amazing success rate with her Kickstarter, and will be also weighing in on some of the marketing and launching. So I know that there are more things that you would likely want us to cover, and some of this will have to be covered in the Facebook group or extended to a little bit more of a weekly topics and additional weeks on the end. So I'm just going to pause for a second. For those of you who are here and familiar with the Kickstarter pieces that you're going to be struggling with, are there any topics that you would want us to introduce or also cover that I haven't already spoken about? Sarah mentioned to me fulfillment. So after the Kickstarter ends. And outreach, right, Sarah?
Yeah, just like general outreach, which can be a lot of things that we can go into. Yeah.
As I guess we'll see wherever people start to struggle, or where I see multiple people having issues with a similar topic, I will add some additional topics, or maybe a pop-up coaching session with someone who can help answer that question. Okay. All right. So recommended resources, you will also find in the Facebook group a guide that says recommended resources. You'll find crowdfunding expertise. Lisa Furland is amazing, and she has some great resources for you. Video help. I have two recommended people that can do a great job with helping you to turn the video that you take into something that can be used for your Kickstarter video. Trust Germain is who I use for my video editing on a regular basis. She also worked on my video and others from the previous work group. Amy Weaver from WeCom is also another. We have her contact information. She is a go-to that I have used a lot when it comes to video books and video trailers, and is also a great resource for videos for Kickstarter as well. More to come. If you've used experts that you recommend, this is a good place to put them. And it would be, these people have not agreed to do anything at no charge. So they're just people you can trust to get things done that I know that you'll need to do. Okay. So I'm just going to open it up for questions and comments. But before I do that, I want to introduce a couple of people. First, for those of you who don't know me, my name's April Cox. I am the creator of Self-Publishing Made Simple. I'm an author of Little Labradoodle books, 8 books so far and counting. I also run a YouTube channel, which has a lot of free self-publishing content on it. And for me, this is a passion to help people who are struggling to pull things together. And so Kickstarter is relatively new. I've run one Kickstarter group already, and there were half a dozen or so campaigns that launched from that work group, and they all were successfully funded, so 100% success rate, but it's only been one work group so far. So I don't know how many in a group of 60 that will actually end up launching this time through, but I think it's exciting that we've got so many people that are working hard to create and fund their children's books. And I just want to be a part of that. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to allow Sarah to introduce herself as well. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hey guys, to those of you who don't know me, I am Sarah Kate. I have been in April's work group, her author work group, many times, but I also helped her with our first Kickstarter group. My history with Kickstarter, as of right now, I have one published picture book, which was totally funded by Kickstarter. And I'm a huge believer in that if you can make a Kickstarter happen, it can be a great asset. It let me build the book of my dreams that I never could have done. So we're passionate about helping other people learn about the platform, and hopefully, if it seems right for you, have a similar success. Right now, I am working on my second picture book and planning to do a Kickstarter Q1 this year, probably in March or somewhere around there. So yeah, I'll be working along with you guys on my own campaign. So feel free to reach out whenever, and just here to help as much as I can.
Thanks. And Sarah is an amazing resource. She is also a graphic designer. So when I did my campaign, she was somebody that I went to get help with putting some pretty banners together and making things pretty. So we'll put Sarah as a resource also that's available for those of you who need it in the resources guide as well. I'd also like to introduce Gretchen Cadillac. Go ahead, Gretchen.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to say that I have not done a Kickstarter, but I'm very excited to learn more about it. I think it's exciting, and I'm so passionate about seeing all the people that have done so well. And my big passion is self-care and helping people with their foundation of wellness as they go through this journey of Kickstarters and book publishing, and just having the conversation about continuing to take care of you. So that's my passion in all of this, to make sure that while you're doing this Kickstarter on top of everything else that you do, that you're truly taking care of you. And that is my passion.
Thank you, Gretchen. I see, Holly, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I do, April. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good deal. Yeah, I was just curious on the kind of topics that you put together. Is there going to be some sort of discussion on when the right time is to get started on a Kickstarter, as part of either the marketing, or maybe the budgeting discussion? Like, when am I ready to begin?
Right. Good question. I think for some of you, it's going to be, it's a very personal question because some of you are waiting for things like cover design or character designs or your book to be finished. A Kickstarter campaign can be done to help you fund the illustration process and the creation of your book. It can also be done to fund the printing of your book after your book is assembled and illustrated, and now you want to do a major print run. So you can do those things on either side of your book process. And so I think for all of you who are ready to begin, I would say go create your Kickstarter, go log in to Kickstarter, create an account, and create a campaign and start filling things in and bring your questions to the Facebook group or bring them to these sessions live. I know there seemed like a lot of topics that we are covering, but one of the things that I'm doing is trying to stick to like a 45-minute presentation at most with a 15 minutes of Q&A for the speaker. And then that leaves us with another 30 minutes. And if we need to stay longer, I am happy to do that. That will just be for, hey, I'm having this problem, or, for whatever issues that you guys are struggling with that week. So go ahead right away, bring your questions, and we'll work through them together. I hope that helps.
Absolutely. Thanks, April.
Okay, awesome.
April, this is Michelle. You said log into Kickstarter and create an account. So is it kickstarter.com?
That's correct. Kickstarter.com. And you can go ahead and create an account there. It's as I'm looking at the clock, we still have 30 minutes to go through some things. Sarah, do you think that you would be willing to just kind of walk through your previous campaign and kind of talk a little bit about what you did to set up the campaign and the different sections of a campaign?
Absolutely. I would love to.
In the meantime, can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead, sure thing.
My question was about how much to put as your goal number on the Kickstarter, because I'm struggling with that because I need a certain amount, but I'm like, that's a lot. And I'd rather just get, meet my goal and maybe get like half of what I need. I don't know. How do you figure out how much you should put as your goal amount? That's my question.
Yeah, there's two techniques. One is Brave technique, which is just you have added it all up and that's how much you need to make this book happen. Even if, say, it's like that's $10,000. And so you're like, okay, I need $10,000. That's what my goal is. You can do that. Or you can also, you can do another technique where you kind of rely on something called stretch goals to hopefully get you to a higher level. Like if you feel like, we'll be sharing a document where I kind of, we've kind of broken some of this down, and I'm sure in like the budgeting chat, we will also go into this in more detail. You can kind of calculate if you have a basic idea of how many people you might expect to back your campaign conservatively, then you can kind of project at an average pledge level with, say, that you probably have 150 who are committed and they may have an average pledge level of $35. And so then you can kind of know, okay, if 150 people with an average pledge of $35, I will probably be okay if I set my goal at like 5,000, 5,250. And then even if you still technically would like $10,000, then you kind of can just like try to carry a campaign by doing things called stretch goals, where like it's like, okay, if we get to 7,000, we add foil stamping. If we get to 10,000, we can add more pages in the book or blah, blah, blah. So there's two different techniques to that. And it's a personal decision. It's kind of scary to go the brave route. I think a lot of people kind of settle somewhere in between the two. So yeah, there is a technique to try basically gauging what your goal should be.
Yeah.
It
And
does.
I'll just add to that, for those of you that aren't aware, Kickstarter is all or nothing. So if you set a goal and then miss it, then you get none of that money. So you want to set a goal that you feel that you can meet, and that's less scary, right? Less of a risk. And then, as Sarah mentioned, having multiple stretch goals will help you get there. Now, if your campaign is to do a print run, then getting some quotes on printing of your book is important. And I can share a list of printers that you can reach out to get quotes with, and you just give them your dimensions, and you can get at least a high level understanding about or how much it would cost per book. And you can figure out at least that piece of the budgeting. If you are at the beginning area of your book and you're trying to fund the illustration process, then you should have an idea of how much the illustrations are going to cost you, so that you can then work through that and understand exactly what your budget needs are. It really is up to the individual. What is it that you are trying to fund? Because that the more you have to fund, the more at risk you are to not meet your goal. And you also have to remember to take a look at how many people you're bringing with you. If you are somebody like Stacy Bauer, who has been an author and done multiple campaigns, and she has a huge following, she has a great email list. So when she launched her most recent campaign, and I'll put a link to that in the Facebook group, she launched 3 books, and she had a very high budget amount, but she knew that she was bringing that many people with her, and she had a lot of success on her campaigns up front. Where if you are a brand new author and you don't have a huge following, then $5,000 or $6,000 is probably where you want to hit, and try to keep it within that mark, which seems to be those that are funding for the first time are around there. Some of them blow way past that goal, but that's a good place to just try to look at your budget and keeping it within that minimum amount. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So Sarah, I'm going to go ahead and share.
Yeah, I do. So when it comes to, I remember Stacy talking about like the bit.ly links and the QR codes. How are you guys doing, like the free code generator, or is it through like bit.ly, everything you pay the $30 a month? Like, how does that work?
I did a Namecheap domain, which I think was maybe like $12 a year. I just bought the domain aliceeloise.com and redirected it to my Kickstarter. Is that what you mean? So that you can have it like not be like the kickstarter.com/project/
So I bought the domain as well, and I routed, like I just got approved for my Kickstarter. So I routed the domain name, but I have a QR code as well that I have postcards that I'm doing. And so I want my potential backers to use the QR code to direct them to the site. I also have the website as well, but just, if people want to like real quick, do their thing, they can. So I'm just trying to figure out what the best way, because I really don't want to be all over the place when it comes to all these different websites. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like if it was me, if you want the QR code to go to your Kickstarter forever and not redirect to wherever you have that domain go to, I would just do the QR code to the kickstarter.com/project/ Jasmine, Paul. It's totally up to you. It'll get the job done either way. Like right now, I have my aliceeloise.com redirected to my actual website just for continuity's sake, that people always know that when they go to aliceeloise.com, they're going to be able to buy my books. And then when my Kickstarter launches, my second one, it's going to go back to my new Kickstarter. But April, do you have anything to weigh in on that?
Well, I would say if you've got a domain name specific for it, that's wonderful. I think that redirecting to your Kickstarter is perfect. Also use other opportunities like your Facebook cover image and do all kinds of, put it in your signature. One of the other things I do is go make sure that when you are putting things in your signature, in your emails, in your Facebook, on your Facebook profile, you can put a domain name, advertise your domain name there. Make sure you put it there so that people are redirected, or use a link tree. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Linktree. If you go to Linktree, you can create a free account for yourself that will allow you to have one link that brings you to, that shows people all the various ways that they can be in touch with you. And putting your Kickstarter in that link tree is really helpful as well, because it gives them an opportunity to see all the different ways that they can contact you. My Instagram, for example, which is self-pub made simple, you'll see when you go to my profile link, there's a link tree link that you can pull up, and it shows all of the different things. So you could have your website, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Kickstarter campaign, like all the different ways you'd want people to engage with you all in one.com, but it comes up together in a link tree profile. It's really a cool way of making sure everything is in one place. Because a lot of times for me, for example, I didn't want to just replace my URL on my Instagram to go right to Kickstarter, because what about the people that were trying to reach me for other reasons? So I wanted to use that link tree to be able to organize so people always could find me without in the many different ways that they needed to reach me. All right.
So this is my first Kickstarter here. It was for our book, Alice Eloise's Silver Linings, the story of the silly service dog. Well, like April said, next week we will start out talking about videos, because they are very important. As you can see, it's basically the first thing people see is your video. So it is really important. But then if you scroll down a bit, April, for us, it's kind of, you kind of have to know your story. For us, we started out telling about ourselves and why we created this book, why it's so important to us, because it is based on our real life story, the story behind the story. And I think we have to be careful as authors, because if any of you are like me, I tend to use a lot of words, which is great, but also good to be concise, which I'm not good at. Okay, so do as I say, not as I do. That being said, I kind of felt like for our story, it worked for us because it was part of the actual story of the book. If I was advising an average author, I would put most of like your like about the author stuff and whatnot, like after like this stuff with about the book itself. Grab people with your beautiful illustrations, the values that are important in your book. Like for us, it is a story about positivity, looking for the silver linings in whenever you're facing a challenge, learning about service dogs, disability inclusivity, that kind of thing. And just kind of getting a chance to show off a few of our favorite illustrations. So that's your chance, along with your video, that is your chance to grab people's hearts, make them fall in love. And then you get to the logistics, the rewards themselves. You want people to know what they're pledging for, what they're buying. Like for us, it's a 10 by 10 hardcover with Alice Eloise's autograph in every book, and our plushies. We will talk a lot about planning your reward tiers. It is, for me, probably the most like brain crunching part was Jasmine, you will laugh at me, but coming up with the numbers for my reward tiers, because just sitting there with a calculator, you want to come up with a strategic tier ladder. Whenever you're looking at campaigns, look at how they set up their reward tiers, because for me, I was looking at what do I think is pretty, what do I want to inspire me, but then also practically looking at the reward tiers, coming up with A, your prices, and B, the breakdown, because you'll have, if you aren't super familiar with Kickstarter, there'll be different kinds of packages. Like one could be just the book, one's the book and the plushie, then you get one's book, plushie, t-shirt transfer, 2 books, 2 plushies, mix and match of 10 items, 20 items, 50 items, that kind of thing. So you're crunching a lot of numbers to make sure that people have a reason to bump up, that they get a better deal each time they bump up a tier. So yeah, that's, you want to give yourself a little time to do that. For me, doing that and the graphics and the outreach to everybody I could possibly think of, those are the ones that were the most time consuming for me. But whenever you get those things together, you get this really nice cohesive campaign. You want to have how you can help. Another huge thing. So like I said, that outreach that I, reached out to as many people as I could think of, or any way that I could. A big part of that is not just letting them know that you're doing this, but letting them know how it's done. You will find that a lot of people don't really know what Kickstarter is. They might think it's a GoFundMe, where they're just giving you money to try to create a book. And then they'll also have to then pay to get a book later, rather than thinking of it as a pre-order system. So your job is going to be to educate your audience, and it is definitely work. Yeah, you will, that's a big thing. And so not only did we do that in our outreach, but we have it listed in the campaign as well. And then of course, in addition to having our rewards on the right side, we also have our little menu of all the different options. And not everybody does this, but I also threw in an actual video tutorial of how to back a project, because like I said, there will be a lot of people, and you will likely notice people whenever they're pledging your campaign, some people will be like, oh, so-and-so just backed your project and they did $20 for a book. And then it might go up to oh, but basically you'll see it constantly changing, because they don't know, you're like, oh, that person's struggling. They don't know how to back a project. So this is that I found was helpful. And this is what I was talking about earlier, stretch goals. We were really lucky. We underestimated our goal. And as much as I stressed that, it was, within a few hours, we hit our goal and had to come up with stretch goals. I did not give that enough thought beforehand. So give that a little bit of thought. For us, it was every $100 past our goal, we donate a book to a kid who needs a silver lining. And then, foil stamping, coloring pages, plushie donations, just, look around, see what kinds of stretch goals would incentivize you to back a project, and go from there. But it's a good thing to have in mind. And then, this is just stuff that kind of more on the stretch goals as they came in. You can continue to update your campaign while it's running. So do updates, do
such a beautiful job with the campaign as far as the graphics and everything go. And I think everybody just, it's so amazing to see all of the beautiful illustrations and everything. One of the things though, if you talk, when we hear Oriana, who from Kickstarter, who will talk to us, she is basically saying most of the people will come in and they'll watch the video. If they like what you're doing, they'll go and they'll look through your, through here as to what they want to back. And that's pretty much all that they're going to do. There's not a lot of people that are going to go through all of your campaign, but it is important, especially for those serial backers or people that really want to know more about your project, to have a lot of great information in here. I tried to keep it simple, and I'm happy to show my campaign during one of our meetings as well. Just so that we can take a look at that. We'll have others also sharing their campaigns and what worked the best for them. But Sarah, one of the things that someone mentioned to me, a recent author that launched their Kickstarter campaign, she reached her goals pretty quickly, and she said, I took Sarah's advice about the marketing, and it was, she attributed her success to reaching her goal based on the types of things that you recommended with regard to outreach and marketing. So would you mind chatting a little bit, Sarah, about what your, lessons learned and best practices are for that?
Absolutely. So I think that the tip you're referring to was, which I slightly alluded to there. This is a lot of work, but I also contribute a lot of my early success to this protocol that I followed, that I decided to try out. So whenever I would post something about my book, even before I knew I was doing a Kickstarter, I kind of had in the back of my mind, I might, and this is going to sound a little bit insane, but if you have the capability to do it, I highly recommend it. I wrote down every single person that commented that they were excited or interested in my book, every single person. And I just made a list. So before I launched, I had a running list of like, I don't know, between 150, 200 people that I then went, and not only did I just count on the fact that they said they were interested in a comment, I sent them a Facebook message or an email. And if I didn't have their email address, I asked for their email address, asked if they would be, if since they're interested, if they would be okay with joining my mailing list, that they will be notified when I launch. So, I reached out to every single one and was like, if you're still interested, we'd really appreciate your support. And I said, we are launching October 3rd, Kickstarter, it's all or nothing. And if you can have a good launch day, it just like sets your campaign on fire. That is, a golden, you're just golden on Kickstarter. That helps so much. A good launch day, Kickstarter loves it. It makes them notice. It gets you high on their rankings. And that's what that is. And I sent out postcards also to everybody, like on my Christmas card list, and said, we need a big launch day. Please be a part of it if you are interested and if you're available that day. Because otherwise, people will kind of be like, and they might not even realize like, oh, I have throughout October 3rd and November 2nd to support this. They might just like either lose track of time or just totally think, oh, I'll be able to get it when I get it. So just kind of that, like, please, pretty please, if you're available, if you're home, if you're whatever, if you can come out on launch day and make it big, we will really appreciate it. And that's absolutely why I reached my goal on day one. And then you know what? Like anything past that is just bonus. And I just kept working hard throughout the whole thing, but just knowing that we were in pretty good shape that launch day, and it was all outreach.
Breathe easily. That makes such an important feeling to have it done quickly instead of having it drag on for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Pat, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead and ask your question.
I have just a few, and I think they may be covered in the next lessons. One of my first questions is about stretch goals. Is it necessary to have stretch goals? My intent, if I do a Kickstarter, is mainly just to pay for the illustrations or the graphic design. I don't think I'm going to do any print run, just get the books through, print on demand and send them out. Is it necessary? That's one question, to have stretch goals. And the second question, which I think probably will be covered, is Sarah had these nice sections. Are there templates for you to plug in this information? Like she had all these different little sections of pictures and comments and whatever.
Yeah, so those nice graphics were created.
Okay.
Yeah, those graphics were created by Sarah. I had her do some for me and make specific graphic design that fit in the style of my book. And that's something that Sarah will talk about. She's also offered to help others as well. So she is on our resource list as a graphic designer. I have others like Praise Saffler and others who can also do graphic design and help us out for anybody that needs that help creating your book. You can also use Canva
Okay.
and throw in little characters, and just using Canva, if you're good with it, you can create some really nice designs. Sarah, did you want to comment on that? And then we can talk about
Right. On that and on the stretch goals. Thank you.
yeah.
So stretch goals. You don't have to do anything you don't want. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that. You do. You have to set a goal. You have to, there are things you have to do, like to be able to launch that. But you don't have to do stretch goals. No, like, I mean, it's just a mechanism to continue to incentivize people after you've already reached your goal. So, I mean, if you're content with where you're at and just anything else is a bonus after that, that's up to you. Like, I mean, it's only an asset if you can think of them to do it. But if you genuinely just feel like, you know, all I really needed to fund was the illustrations, or even if, I don't know, if you have plans for a future book, like it can be something like, if, you know, anything extra will go to future books in the series. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be like even like a physical reward that you send out. It can be coloring pages, you know, like, so you can get a little bit creative without having to go too crazy. So just, you know, some ideas that you can kind of bounce around. You don't have to, but it is certainly an asset. And some people aren't incentivized by stretch goals at all. So that's why some people just do the whole brave route, because they're like, I couldn't care less about a stretch goal. I don't care if I get a bookmark with my order, you know, whatever. So it's, everybody has a different philosophy and different goals, but yeah. And regarding the design, basically the platform for Kickstarter, you get a blank canvas, you get a big white box where you can just like, which is kind of terrifying. Blank canvases are sometimes terrifying, but it also gives you pretty much free reign to do what you want with it. And you just type what you want, you make your graphics in Canva, Photoshop, wherever, and then you literally can just drop them into that white box. It's not a template. It's not like modules where you're like, okay, it needs to be 970 by 600 inches or inches, pixels for this slot. It's literally just a white blank canvas for you to go crazy on or keep things simple. And I will never say that graphics are the most important, but for me as a casual, well, not so casual Kickstarter, like person looking at campaigns, I'm somebody that I know the video is super important, but a lot of the time, like I'm somewhere where I don't necessarily want to turn on a video because of like sound. And so I scroll the campaign, and if it's all words, I'm out of there. Like if it's all words, I'm out of there. If there's not a pretty picture or something to grab my attention, or pretty banners, whatever, just something like to make it look professional and like you put some love into it. But yeah, it's really your canvas to do whatever you want with.
Yeah. And I'll make a comment too on the idea of stretch goals, Pat. So if, let's just say you set your, you know, reasonable $6,000 goal, and then you smash that within a few days, it's, or let's just say, even if you're halfway through your campaign and now your goal, you've met your goal, there's not a lot of reason for people to keep going and keep pushing more money. However, if you come up with, like what Sarah was saying, oh, and now that we've smashed our goal, we've set a stretch goal for this much more, we can create a coloring book. And then past that, for this much more, we can do a teacher's guide. So, you know, for everybody that backed the book will also get a teacher's guide, or if you happen to be doing a print run for your book, adding nice embellishments and things like that to the book, adding a beautiful book jacket and different things that add extra, or a special paper, for example, that's like just really makes it a keepsake book, just helps add a little bit more. So people are willing to even up their bids, or more people are still there trying to help you reach your goals. Does that help, Pat?
Yes, it does help. And so what Sarah was saying is in the beginning, she didn't even have stretch goals.
Yeah, she had no
Once
idea.
she
I
hit
didn't
it,
either. Mhm.
and like with you, so then once you hit it, then you go, oh my God, I got to come up with, now I'm going to come up with a stretch goal. Okay. Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. Yep, you don't have to have it ahead of time. Priya, you had a question? Go ahead.
So Sarah, I also made few graphics in Canva, and I didn't like the concept of big picture and then text like Canva has, right? I designed the what do you say, the graphics with the text in it so that it looks beautiful, like I saw in yours. And I did everything, and then at the end, when I opened it in my phone, I realized that now the text is not reflowable and it looks smaller than the other text that you enter in Canva. So that time I had a little shock that, oh my God, 3 nights I spent making these graphics and now I feel they are smaller, especially for older generations like grandma age. For them, it is tiny now. I don't know. I didn't redo them because everyone said they look wonderful. But from one person, I got this feedback that I found it better on laptop reading it than on phone because she was in her 60s and stuff. So I can show you my Kickstarter page if you have some time. April, do you have? Sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to hang out, and if you want to share, let's see if you're able to share or if you're going to have the same issue that Sarah did.
Yeah, just let me open my page and I'll share.
I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to go in a couple minutes. I have another commitment, but I'll hang out for a couple more minutes. And if I'm gone by the time you get everything up, please email me or send me a Facebook message and I'm happy to do things.
And Sarah, one quick question is what outreach were you talking about? You said whenever you post, you were commenting on each comment, right? So I am doing the same. But the problem I faced is in most of the Facebook page, promotion is not allowed. So I just changed it to non-promotion kind, and then I got pretty good engagement, like 70 comments, and I was commenting on each. And now I have a list about 30 people who are saying that they want to buy the book. And I also kept their screenshots so that I could personally DM them. But that is too less to make the Kickstarter hit, right? So how do we get big backings? Like, did you reach out organizations and stuff too for bigger packages?
Well, yeah, it's hard because a lot of the time when we're getting started, it is family and friends. And I know that is a struggle for you since they're international. But yeah, absolutely. Like I did a feature for Love What Matters and got a lot of traffic from that.
What did you do? Sorry.
I had a feature in Love What Matters. It's a big platform. So reach out, absolutely reach out. And like that's something I need to start doing for the second campaign. Like, I was like had some places like the Today Show and like local TV like since my Kickstarter, and like kind of just getting back in touch with those people, seeing if they have any other suggestions. Look for like articles that are kind of in the niche of your book and try to reach out to those reporters or whomever. And just, sometimes you feel like you're grasping at straws, but if you do it enough and connect with the right people, if you can get that kind of like a media feature during your Kickstarter, absolutely, it can absolutely just bring people that would have never been in your audience otherwise. So it's a very good thing to do, because if it works out, then that's capturing an entirely new audience.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to call media people and say that this is the book. Few places I got like you can advertise for radio. They said that it is all advertisement, and if you want an interview, it's paid. I said I can't pay anything, but still I send them my pitch. So let's see what happens. So it's all in air right now. Well, and I put I don't know how I'll reach, but
there are when Lisa Furlan is a crowdfunding expert, and she talks a lot about making you have enough of a following and that you have your backers. And if that you don't have a big enough following or enough people to bring with you, bring your own backers, then to develop your author platform further and then go back to Kickstarter so that you don't end up with a campaign that falls short. So, you know, you may want to check on some of this. I have reached out to Lisa to see if she would be willing to send me something that I can use or a video to be able to place in our Facebook group for those that, you know, need a little bit of extra guidance around certain topics that Lisa is more than willing to help out with as well. But she has like calculators on her site that tell you if you're looking to get a certain number of, like, say $6,000, and if you look at the average of about $25 or $35 per backer is what they're spending, then how many backers you need. And so you need to know that you can drive the lion's share of that, family, friends, others that will be able to help support that. And what I did do for people that I know you said your family friends are in India, but one of the things I did for people who were outside the country is I did a donate option. So donate a book where they could support me if they lived out of the country. And I did a digital gift set so that they would get a digital copy along with the video book and coloring book and activities. And I would donate a hardcover to a place that I had picked out. Books Are Wings. So, you know, having a buy one, donate one, or a donate option for people that are out of the country but still want to support you is a really good way of making sure that those backers that are in another country, in your home country, can jump on and support your Kickstarter.
Yeah, so actually I have the ability to ship books to India because I'm getting the books printed in India. But
Okay.
the problem is the price point. Like the hardcover here will be $20. In India, it'll be around, let's say, $5. So the price point is very different. Until and unless that person is family, a friend, like I don't expect everyone to just buy a book of $20, which will usually be just $5 in India, right? So that is why I don't expect many friends and family to back it until and unless they love me a lot and they want to support me.
Yeah, well, they all should love you a lot.
Yeah.
You know, they need to, all of our family and friends, we would love to say that they will do, you know, that they will be the core of the people that support us. But I know that that's not always the case, for sure. I know there are issues there, but definitely want to make sure that your author platform is broader. And one of the things that I also did, Priya, that helped me raise additional money is to add an author reward where I was providing mentoring hours for authors that were new or looking to create books. Now, I know you have a lot of background in being an author and launching books. So if that's something that you feel like you could also do and provide value to an author, an hour of coaching or 30 minutes of coaching to have them support your Kickstarter campaign could be a really valuable option for both of you.
Yeah, that is what I did actually. I just like 2 backers I'm doing for that because again, because of bandwidth, I don't think I'll be able to do many coaching calls. So I kept one tier with 2 backers for that so that I can at least raise some good amount. So this is my page.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so.
A beautiful book.
Thank you. I send you a soft copy of this when it was ready. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
So I already have a sample book and these are all real pictures of that which we clicked. So these are the graphics which I was talking about. So I made them like this, but now in phone, these texts are not reflowable. So they are looking smaller.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. The story behind the story, illustrator, for more endorsements and bracelets.
It looks beautiful. Your campaign looks really beautiful. The other
Thank
thing,
you so much.
yeah, the other thing about being part of this community is that I hope that everybody in the community shares others campaigns, that when as the early ones launch, that those who've not backed a number of campaigns back some, even if it's just $1 or $10, be benefited by following the process of what people are going to go through as they launch their campaign, as they update people, as they, get closer to their goal and then surpass their goal. You'll watch them and be privy to it as they work on stretch goals and things of that nature. So follow people, back the early ones, share, even if you don't have the money to to back the campaign, you can put $1 that gives you access to everything that's happening with the campaign, or just share on your social media and help recommend or share the campaigns that are launching, because when it's your turn, you are going to so appreciate when somebody else shares your campaign and gives you access to a whole nother group of people that you wouldn't have normally seen your campaign. So let's do that for each other. Okay.
Yeah, that will be great. And it will also boost up the page, right? If people are clicking the link. So
yes, absolutely. Pat, you had another question? Go ahead.
And just a general question, I'm hoping that this will be covered as well. Maybe in the graphics part, the minimum amount or what you definitely need to be included in your Kickstarter, like what Priya has done. I saw the different sections about the author and the forward from the Dalai Lama. Will you go over that, and Sarah and the others, what you feel needs to be put in there?
That's great, Pat.
Okay, thank you.
I'll pull that together and make a note to make sure that we've got that listed. And as everybody's creating their campaigns, logging in and creating their campaigns this week, we have something to show and that you can get started with. Let's just be brave and get started with at least just the bare minimum of things. And that way you're going to come across areas where you need help. And that's what we'll continue to fill in and communicate in the Kickstarter Facebook group. But also when we get together on meetings, we'll have a period of time where we'll have a speaker or we'll have a special presentation and then open dialogue like we're doing now as well. Okay. For those of you that just dialed in at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm so sorry that the communication hadn't reached you or that you missed the communication, but the Kickstarter campaigns and these weekly meetings are from 7 to 8:30. So 7 p.m. Eastern every Monday, we're going to go through it. I will be happy to send you a replay if you wouldn't mind just posting your email in the chat for me. I'll make sure that you all get a copy of the replay with the slides as well that I went through. And you can feel free to go ahead and ask questions. If you have anything that you would like to make sure we cover, or if you have a specific question on Kickstarter, feel free to you just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question. Welcome, Dana. Just want to double check and see if there's anything else. Okay, so one question in the chat was, will the paid version of Canva be enough to do all the graphics for this? So I would say yes, I do believe that it is enough. What I would recommend is that when you're putting graphics together, If you've already got some character designs or some illustrations completed from your illustrator, then you're going to want to go ahead and post those so that you can, talk about the story. So the key sections really that you want to focus on is about the story and about the author. If you in the course of putting that together, you want to explain why you're writing the book. Typically, that will go into the video. So you share about your why and make a nice video, because that's where most of the people are going to be looking. And again, with videos, it's typically keeping it simple, keeping it short, because people don't have a big, long attention span. They're only probably going to watch a minute long of your video. It should be no longer than a couple of minutes long. So you're going to want to communicate your why, communicate your personality, your passion, and exactly why they should back your campaign. And then in the details, again, about the book, about the author, about the illustrator, information about the budget and how the breakdown is. And typically there's a little information about risk, like it explains what risks exist for the project. For example, shortages in printer paper and issues, natural disasters, things like that can cause delays or issues with being able to produce the book. So these kinds of things we usually have like a risk section. One of the things I recommend in this very first week or two is go onto Kickstarter, search children's books, and go and look at some campaigns that are out there. I also posted a number of campaigns from our previous work group. I posted them in our Facebook group, the Kickstarter Facebook group. They're there for you to go and look at. Take a look at the successful campaigns that came out of our previous work group and take a look at what things they have in common. You're going to pick up on things. You'll take a look at how did they break apart, the interior in the middle of the book. How did they put their video together? What kinds of things did they say? How much money did they raise? How many rewards did they put? And how did they break apart their rewards? So just like anything else, do your research and really have a good amount of an idea of what you're looking to do. And then again, we're going to be here to answer questions. We're going to have presentations, lots of great information coming in the following weeks, at least 6 weeks, maybe more.
Yeah. So April, in the group, can we share our preview link also to get suggestions?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely do that. A preview link is before you're ready to launch your campaign, you're allowed to create a preview link and send it to people to ask them for feedback on your campaign. And I highly recommend we do that to support each other. And when somebody, let's go to Priya's, and I think there's 1 or 2 others in the Facebook group who have created their campaigns and are looking for feedback. Go on and take a look, provide any feedback that will help them to be successful in launching their campaign.
And also the follow thing, like notify me when launch, so that because I know Kickstarter will show more than 10. So that way all the projects show up more, right? If we follow these projects.
Yes. Yep. Following each other's campaigns, notifying, sharing, that will be very helpful. Jasmine, when is your campaign going to be launching?
February 15th. Write it down on your calendars.
Mine too.
Yes. Kickstarter twins. Woo!
Hey, support each other. Definitely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely. We did when I launched my Kickstarter campaign, there were 1 or 2 others in the group that were launching at the same time. And so we partnered up and we did Facebook Lives together and we shared about our campaigns. And we also, like in my email list, I was telling about my campaign. And then I said, and if you really love campaigns, you want to check these out too. And they did the same for me. So it helped, cross promoting each other's campaigns did help get a little bit more visibility for our projects as well.
Like that. And I saw, Priya, you're a CPA and I do finance, so it's almost tax time.
Yeah.
Good synergy.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we should definitely go on a live once if you are there on Instagram or something because we are launching on the same day. At least that will not give me goosebumps when I launch.
For sure. Let's do it. Nicola knows I'm like really nervous. So
You're gonna
Yeah,
do
yeah.
great.
I'll DM you on Facebook. We'll connect.
Wonderful. Does anybody have an upcoming campaign that's already in progress or that is getting ready to launch? Or any other questions before we wrap up at the bottom of the hour? Go ahead, Allison.
Hello. Yeah, I had a question. So my campaign launched. You guys all, for most of the folks, saw it last week or a week before last, whenever.
And
it
it's
launched.
already met and exceeded its goal. Congratulations.
Thank you. And so you guys, the advice that April and like Sarah Catherine and everybody have, they're key. Like there's no way I would have done it if I hadn't followed their advice. So the only thing that I was going to ask is I have two different rewards that nobody has kind of bit on yet, right? Like I don't have any backers, so I can still modify them. One, I know somebody is trying to, so it's like a church group, and it's like it's a classroom bundle, but then they'll but it's more for like this church group. And so I do know somebody's looking into that one, but I'm thinking about changing the other one up. It was the one, April, you had actually told me to add it, but let's be honest, most of these people know me, and so I don't think my time is as valuable as say your time. So it was like, one-on-one with me, like for adoption journey questions and stuff. And the truth is, I'll just talk to anybody about adoptions. I don't think anybody's like, let's pay to talk to her about it. So should I go in and just like, because it's a $75 point, and it's like a big, otherwise it's like 50 or 100. And so I don't know, should I just go in and kind of make some different smattering of book and coloring book kind of a thing?
Certainly could. And you can also just add new rewards. You can't delete or edit something that's already got a bid, but anything that doesn't have one, you can delete or you can modify. And you can also at any time, if you've got ideas or people ask for certain additional things, you can always add that.
Okay, I did. So I will tell you guys, I ran into an issue with the add-on. So what I did was my goal, my Kickstarter goal was to get the books printed, right? And then I have one stretch goal because I just want to make it as simple as possible. The stretch goal was to get the plushie. Right. And so as soon as we met the main goal, I knew we could get a bulk print run going. Then I did an add-on, and several people came to me and said it's disabled. And I gave them all the screenshots of exactly what to do, because it's not easy to go in and like change your pledge. And I even saw it with my best friend on FaceTime. She's like clicking it. She's like, it is disabled. This button is not coming up. I sent it to Kickstarter. Oriana's amazing, but she is not tech. She's not customer service. The first guy wrote me off completely after he was like 30 hours before he even responded. So I just went in and made a new reward because most people had already pledged. Now remember, this is an add-on, so it's not going to be the same shipping. So I didn't want to double people's shipping if they wanted the stuffed animal. So I'm putting myself out there with a little bit of a risk of a very, very small shipping for this $10 plushie as a reward, but I didn't want people to miss that if they wanted to add it on their piece.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and I do remember when I went through my campaign having a similar issue. It's about where you click. It's like you have to move or you have to. It's just a weird thing. I'll have to go back and look exactly what we had to do to resolve it. But it was fluky, and I have already, submitted a support ticket on it, and so have others. So maybe I can go back and figure out what it is we actually, because I do remember I figured out a way around it, but off the top of my head, I don't know. I'll have to go back in there and see if I can check my emails.
Okay, because because I had two add-ons. I had one that was just like some time with me to talk about adoption. And so the add-on button should have always worked for all the rewards because of that one alone. And it's not like it was specifically the plushie, it was the add-on button was like disabled.
Yeah, I know with the add-ons, Allison, you do have to say what it does speak to. So for example, you have to say it applies to everything or check off the things. So I'm just wondering if that was correctly set up. It
Let
could
me
have been a
know.
slightly different thing, because I think you have to go, when you add the add-ons, you have to say, what does it apply to? Like, in other words, if you haven't checked off everything, then maybe they're trying to add to one that you haven't checked off, and that could be an issue. That's one potential possibility.
Okay, yeah, let me know, because when I look underneath it, it says 12 rewards, which is all rewards except the digital one. And then when I go into each individual reward and I hit edit and I go to the very bottom, it says these two things are add-ons.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
And these were people at two different reward price points that couldn't get it working. So anyway,
Okay.
But I would say that was one of the things that was interesting that I ran into. Another thing, if anyone hasn't done a Kickstarter before, was just like everything else, be prepared for a little bit of spam. So there are people that will fund, but they'll fund your Kickstarter. It's like, spam me all you want. You gave me $1. That was wonderful. So they'll usually give $1, send you a message, talk to April if you actually are one of any of them, because I don't know if they're good or not, but mine ended up funding, so didn't have to go that route. But you will get several of those that'll say we can market this out and all that kind of stuff. I also had one that I'm not sure if it's legit or not, because again, it was very quick when I launched, kind of similar to the spam. It was another author that wanted to like combine with mine. And I didn't know if it was legit or not. And I hadn't heard of them. And I looked through all the people connected to you, April, and I didn't see this person.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, they probably found you on Kickstarter and said, oh, we've got similar campaigns in the same niche. Maybe we can help, support each other. And that is a great opportunity. If that works for you, I would go find out what their campaign is. And it's certainly worth thinking about, trying to help one another by just emails or supporting. Like sometimes what they'll do is when they're updating their backers, they will also mention, oh, by the way, thank you for supporting my campaign. Here's another campaign in the same niche. If you're interested, you might want to check that out, and then ask you to do the same or do it in a newsletter.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful. The similarity was that her book has to do with owls.
Oh, I see.
Like the narrator's owl. So I don't know how similar, but hers launches in February. So I knew I had a little bit of time to figure out.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay. So I also had, I had a question here from Dana. Are you working entirely with Canva in this webinar? No, I mean, we mentioned Canva just because when we were talking about graphics, and Sarah and Priya were showing their campaigns, someone asked whether or not the graphics could be created in Canva. You can absolutely do that. Or you can work with a graphic designer to help you, or you can, create them in Photoshop or whatever. I mean, on Fiverr, you can usually get a graphic designer to create some banners for you or things for your Kickstarter with very little investment. But we also have the incredible Sarah Catherine Frey, who is a graphic designer. And I have a couple of other graphic designers who are also willing to jump in and do some low cost help with banners and graphic design of your campaign if you need assistance. But if you are very familiar with Canva, then it's also a great opportunity for you to create it yourself. Right. Well, if you have not already joined the Facebook group, for those of you who have joined a little bit late here, I'm just going to post the Facebook group here. go ahead and join. We're going to have different guides after each session. I will put the replay link in there so that, you know, everybody that wants to go in and watch a particular meeting will have the ability to go in regardless of whether they've been able to participate live. We also have resources and reference campaigns for you, and we'll be answering your questions and monitoring the Facebook group as well. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week when I will have a special guest speaker at 7 o'clock talking about videos and tips on how to create a great video for your Kickstarter campaign. I'll see you all then. Bye, everyone.